one sec. Okay. So API, an application programming interface. Okay. So what is an API exactly? API is the acronym for application programming interface, which is a software intermediary that allows two applications to talk to each other. Each time you use the Facebook app, send an instant message, or check the weather on your phone, you are using an API. Okay. So when you use one of these applications, the application on your phone connects to the internet and sending data to a server. The server then retrieves the data, interprets it, performs the necessary actions, and sends it back to your phone. The application then interprets the data and presents you with the information you wanted in a readable way. This is what an API is. Okay, this all happens via API. So when you interact using the Facebook or to check weather um, condition, so in your phone you will just do some instant messages on Facebook. When you click that instant messages, in backend it will go like something XML or JSON format, and it will go to the database and it will retrieve some data from that, and then again it will present you on your screen with the readable format. Okay, so in backend what format it is happens, it depends on our API design. It can be an API, I mean JSON format or XML format or anything. Okay, so and what an API also does is provides a layer of security. So you once you implement an API, you can also provide a security. Okay, your phone's data is never fully exposed to the server, and likewise the server is never fully exposed to your phone. Instead, each communicates with small packets of data. Okay, sharing only the which is necessary. So whatever the necessary data you will be passing, and okay, only necessary data will be processed throughout this layer. So kind of like ordering some takeout. You tell some restaurant what you would like to eat. They tell you what they need in restaurant, and then in the end you get your meal, something like that. Okay. Any doubt on this slide? Did you get where we use exactly an API? So there are many places. I just given some example of Facebook and yeah, some weather condition checking and okay. Now, so to design the API, we use the RAML. So RAML is a RESTful API modeling language. Okay. So let's go to the basics which we have seen yesterday again. So in this RAML API designing, we do some introduction about what exactly RAML and where we use this. And we see all these RAML API schema, root, resources, methods, URI parameters, query parameters, responses. These all are the main things which we use inside while we designing the RAML. Okay, if you know what is root, resource, method, URI parameters, query parameters, responses, that is enough. You can create your own API and you can publish it. Okay, what is RAML? It's a RESTful API modeling language, and it's a non-proprietary vendor neutral open source. It aims to help a current API ecosystem and solve immediate problems, and then gently encourage ever better API. Okay, and why RAML? It makes it easy to manage the whole API lifecycle from design to sharing. So it is very easy to, you can easily design it, you can easily test, and you can publish the API using the RAML. Okay, and concise. You only write what you need to define. So you just first get the requirement from the customer and ask them what are the operations they are expecting. Like in Facebook, if they are saying that when the new user create, they want a create account, and when they say some instant messages, say some instant message resource. So it's kind of whatever operations they want to perform, like that upload or whatever it is. So these all are comes under some resources, and it can be reusable. So once you design that API, you can reuse it with some little modifications. So you can also use it in another APIs as well. And it is a mission readable API design that is actually human friendly. So what is API schema? So API schema basically contains all these things: root, message, resources, methods, URI parameters. So when it comes to the root, what is root exactly? Some basic information about the API, that is title, base URI, version, etc. So when you start designing an API, you must give some API name, right? And you must give some endpoint. So that details it will contain the title, API name, whatever the API you are designing, and the base URI, the endpoint which you are going to expose your flow as an API, and the version and resources. Decides how API can be used. We will see that in our next classes, ActiveMQ. Okay, I will explain that. But now I do have installed the ActiveMQ in my machine, so I will explain later. But now let's concentrate on this. So resources decides how API can be used by consumers, and methods. So methods like a get, post, put, delete. Okay, all these methods. Get method we use to get the data from the backend system database, and what is post method used to create a new record, and then put method is used to update the existing record in the backend system, and delete is used to delete the record from the existing system. So all these methods we will use in this API. While using designing the RAML, we will implement all this. And URI parameters to have dynamic resources to act upon the more granular objects of the resources. So as I said, you if you want to retrieve only particular employee based on the employee ID or employee name or location, so you can give it the endpoint slash at the and one or two employee ID. Then it will read the only particular record only. It will not show all the. So such cases you can use the URI parameters to pass it as. And query parameters. So query parameters to be passed to methods to extend the functionality of the API. You can pass some query parameters and you can filter some data based on the query parameters as well. And responses. So every method which you perform will give some response back. Whether you perform get, post, put, delete, whatever it is. So you must get some response back, right? So the response will be something like it can be if you are using some get method, you will get all the records from the database. So such kind of responses you can see under the you need to represent under the responses tag. And when you get the responses, it will also give the HTTP status codes. So for get method, the status codes will be 200 if it is a success, and post and put methods, since it is a create, it will be 201. So mostly we use these two, and 500, 400, these are error codes. Whenever any error or connection issues, we have this 500 errors, and 404 bad requesting everything. Let's see that what exactly root. Root contains some basic information about the API, that is title, base, URI, version, etc. Everything entered in at the root. of the spec applies to the rest of the API. So once you design on top of that API RAML, that comes that applies to the rest of the API. Chosen base URI will be used with every call made. Hence, make sure to keep it clean and concise. So if you see that here, this is some example RAML, and this is the version RAML 0.8 is the version, and the title. So here the title is Employee Details Management, and this is RAML version, and here this version is the API version which you are designing, and base URI. So this is the endpoint URL, and you can change this to anything. Okay. And you should make sure that when you are giving to the customers, you should make sure giving this base URI. Then they can consume this URI, and they can uh, send the request to the operations which you have exposed. And resources. It decides how API can be used by consumers, and also it decides resources always being with a slash in a RAML. So when you start creating some resource, employees, you must start with the slash. So in the whole RAML, wherever you are giving slash with some name, so that is called a resource. Okay. And resource are like any method and parameters nested under these top level resources belong to and act upon that resource. So under employees, it's a department and region. This is under the employees. And nesting of resources is also possible. And what about methods? As I said, whenever you design the RAML, so once you identified what all the resources you need to implement, so under the resources, you must have some type of methods. So let's say if I want to, in the employees, I want to do some get operations, post operations, put and delete. So I can keep the methods like this. Okay. So methods basically it performs some CRUD operations on top of the API. And URI parameters. So to have a dynamic resources to act upon the more granular objects of the resources, you can use the URI parameters. And a URI parameter is denoted by the surrounding curly brackets in RAML. If you see here, this is the URI parameters. So my requirement is I want to give some endpoint to the customer, and they can pass an endpoint URL slash employee ID. Okay, so then only they can read a particular employee ID details or employee name. So when they give like that, they can able to read the employee details based on the employee name. So it is the representation will be like this. Should be under curly braces. Okay. And query parameters, as I said, to be passed to methods to extend the functionality of the API. You can extend some functionality on top of that API. You can pass some query parameters like this. Okay. So from the database, you want to filter some data. So you are getting all the employee details, and under the employee details, you want to read only particular information. Then you can use query parameters, and you pass that query parameters to the backend system. So then you can perform that filter operations. Okay. To make developer to be able to perform more powerful actions like filtering a collection based on past parameters. Okay. So you are getting let's say all the employees under multiple regions. So, but you want to get only employees belongs to a particular location, let's say some Hyderabad. So you need to pass the query parameter Hyderabad, then you can perform that action. Okay. So query parameters may also be something that the server requires to process API consumers request, like an access token. You can also pass something like access token. Okay. So this is some example, the way of representation of RAML. Okay. And the responses tag. So this responses you can represent here responses with 200 status code, and you're saying what is the body, and the body type is application slash JSON, something like this. You can also keep it some example. Okay, instead of this example is for mock testing purpose only. It will say that some message we are returning, the format which you are returning from the backend system. Okay, and you can after example you can see a pipe symbol. So once you put this pipe symbol, you can have some example code here. Okay, so you can see that exactly. So this is the root area when you are designing the RAML. Okay, and here is the resource. So if you see that slash employees, if you give wherever you give slash, that is a resource. Okay, here also slash curly braces employee name. So when you keep it that in curly braces, it will be URI parameters and the method. Okay. RAML is a RESTful API modeling language, so which you can start designing the first what all the things you need to perform. So once you design this RAML, then you will make it as a REST service. In Mule, I mean it's like uh, designing first and then you are implementing a REST service. It's like that. And here is the query parameters. So this is the way you can represent the query parameters under the get method. Okay. You can see here whether the query parameter is required or not. If you keep it required false, then it will take it as a optional parameters. That means whether you pass the query parameter or not, it will take that. But if you keep it query parameter true, I mean required true, then without passing that value, it will not send the request. It will say that you must pass the query employee ID. So here it is a employee ID. They mentioned as a required false. That means whether you pass employee ID or not, they can read the all the employees details. Like that they implemented here. And if you see here, this is the response. So you can keep some response here. This is some dummy response which you are saying that. So if you hit this endpoint with this get method, you will get this kind of response back. This is not the exact response which we are receiving from the backend system, but we are saying that you will get similarly something like this. The structure you are saying that the format, the schema will be like that. You are saying so. Okay. So let's go to here. So using the API console, you can see that what are the operations and how the RAML got exposed and designed a RESTful web service using the RAML. Okay. So this is the REST Studio project. If you use the RAML file, you can implement a REST service. If you use the WSDL file, you can implement a SOAP service. This is the difference. That's it. So to answer your question, what is the difference between RAML and REST service? Here you can understand. So RAML is the designing your REST service first. Okay, first you design what are the resources, methods, everything. You put it in the RAML, then you make it as a RESTful web service, REST service. Okay, and then WSDL. Like WSDL also contains all the yesterday we have seen one of the WSDL. So that has t-shirt ordering service, right? It has three different type of operations, and it was like that. So it has what is request, what is response, everything inside that WSDL. So once you have that WSDL, and you can also create expose a SOAP based web service. Okay. Let's see that how to create a RAML file basically. So once you have your project, you can create a RAML file as we discussed just now with resources and different kind of methods, get, put, post, and everything. So once you're done with designing your RAML file, you need to generate the flows. Okay. So right click on that API, go to Mule and generate flows from RAML. So that will automatically generate your flows with different kind of operations which you design. Okay. Okay. So let's see that how this step will happen. I removed that and I will be starting again. So what we say? I give RAML API. I'm creating the new project. Okay. So I gave it as a RAML API. Okay. So now there is no flows here. Okay, the flows I don't want to design from my, I mean by taking the each and every connector like that. So the initial thing, what is the initial endpoint, what is the request, everything I want to design first. So to design that, I need to implement the in a RAML file. So I need to create a new RAML file. Okay, so this is the RAML API definition. So just give some API and the file will be under src main API. Okay, so if you see that base things has automatically got created title and everything. So you can change this title something employee, you can keep it employee API. Okay, and as I said, how to create a resource base URI, whether you can keep it or not here, but when we are giving real time, you need to give that base URI. Okay, but okay. We need to pass something like that, but here we are not using some base URI. We anyhow we are using some local host only. I'm not giving this. Okay, root is done. Now I need to create some resources. So how to create the resource slash employee colon. Okay, I have done one resource. So under the resource, I want to perform some retrieve based on the ID. So I need to keep ID. You can have some name also based on the, if you want to read employees based on the name, you can keep it employee name. If you want to read employee details based on the ID, you can keep it ID. Okay, and my requirement is I need to provide an API which others to consume, and they can able to get all the employee details from the backend system. So to get all the employee details, the method should be under employees, right? So just write some get method. If you see that some error, it will show that. In that case, you need to indentation. You need to follow indentation. So just put a tab. It will go. That's it. Okay. And for this get, don't have anything. So and then we have seen that responses, right? So if you see, you can also give some description, whatever you want, and then some query parameters. If you are passing, you can keep the query parameters. Okay. So we will implement the same way so that you can easily understand. For the first one which I am implementing, it is getting all the employee details or description. Okay. Okay. Let's keep something. Okay. I just kept some description. So once the description is done, you can have some responses. Okay. So inside the responses, what are the status codes will come? So as I said, for get, the status code will be 200 if it is success, right? So you just give it 200. And what type of, I mean, every response will have some body, right? So you need to keep it some body like this. Under the body, you need to tell that what type of body format it is. So for now, I'm saying that it is application slash JSON. Okay, so it's a type, right? Okay, it's not required. Okay, this is the type which I'm expecting. And then if you want to keep it some example, you can also keep that as an example. So as I said, you need to give the pipe symbol if you want to keep some example. Okay. So there is a colon missing here. So what example we can keep it here? Currently we don't have any example, right? So let's take some JSON example from any JSON message. Do we have in our postman? I think we must have. We must have somewhere. Yeah, so I have something here. So let me do some changes here. So email address, okay, and then we can give, we'll say something like employee name, employee ID, right? So I'm giving something like this around over here, and then I'm giving, okay, just copy this, okay, and then paste it here, and then you need to do the indentation. Just select tab, 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 tab. Missing something. Yep. Okay, that's it. So these are the steps you need to follow when you design the API. So there is no much thing, only 10 steps, hardly 10 steps you need to follow. So if you're able to design one get method, you can easily copy paste the same in post method or whatever it is. So this is employee, get all the employee details, right? So we are saying that one employee record, but usually you will get a multiple set of employee details with this structure. We are saying that some example, the format of the response will be like this. Okay. So now let me keep the same get method under the employee ID, because if I want to read a particular employee ID, so then it will be same, right? You don't need to do anything. Just copy this. Okay, under the employee ID. So employee, this query parameter should be under employee. So keep a tab and then give one more tab here and then paste it here. Okay. Now what is that? Tab and here tab. 1 second. Just select the whole thing and give the tab. Okay. I think we're missing one more tab. Somewhere indentation is failing. So also, okay, now it's gone. Okay. Okay. And I want to create a new employee. So my requirement is one of the requirement is done. So I can read all the employees from the database. For that, I created one resource employees under that get method. So this will give the all employee details from the resources. And second requirement is I want to get a particular employee. So to get the particular, a particular employee detail, I need to pass a ID. So second thing is also done. So my third requirement is whenever a new employee join, so I need to perform the create, right? So to do the create, what I have to do? I need to implement the post. So the post will be under the main resource employees. Okay. So have the post method after this. Just come here, keep it one tab and then post method. Okay. So under the post method, so how the operations look like? So it will be almost same only. So you need to copy paste everything. Okay. And the extra thing is body will come under for the post also. So for now you keep everything same. Copy one more time under the post. Just observe here, we are not doing much hard things. We are just copy pasting most of the things. In real time also it will be like this only. Yes, indentation problem. So you can actually you can design this RAML API either here or else any point uh, this is any point studio, right? Any point platform also you can design. So in any point platform, when you are designing, the screen will be like this and it will show you the lines, right? So that will be very easy to design the RAML API. For now I'm explaining here, but later we will design there only, not here. Okay. Any point studio we are designing, but any point platform it's very intelligent tool, so you can easily find out the error, where exactly where is the indentation problem, everything. So these lines will clearly give the error exact line. But, this is the initial one, that's what we are getting here. So the post should be parallel to the get method, so it is correct. And then when you are copy paste, that should work. One, two. Sometimes like this, so you just to leave it. We can type it better. Some description about that. So this is used to get, sorry, create new employee in database. Okay. And you can have some body, and that body format application slash JSON. You can keep it application slash XML also. It depends on your requirement. Okay. This is my body. Okay. So once my body done, I can have some response code. Responses. Okay. So these responses should be parallel to this body actually here. Okay, and here again it will be like a 201. As I said, post and put methods, it's the code is 201. Okay. Now under 201 it will be again the body same. Okay. Then we need to pass some sample exam body format, what it is, application slash XML, sorry, JSON. And for every get method, you don't require any body. So if you see that while implementing the get method, we did not keep this body. Okay, in the request, this is the request way, and this is the response. You can understand like that. So in the request, we don't need to put any body for the get method, but post and put method, you need to pass some body, right? So that's what we are keeping here. So for this, you can also have some example code, the pipe symbol, right? Yes, okay, cool. All errors gone. Okay, I'm done with the requirements designing in the RAML file. Okay, now actual implementation will come. So just right click on your RAML file which you design. Okay, once you right click, go to Mule and then click on generate flows. So if you see that here the RAML API only there is no API.xml, but if you just observe that an API.xml will automatically create, right? An API.xml file got created with the RAML file name. So in this you can see that API main flow and API console flow, and then the resources which we implemented. What are the resources we implemented? For the employee, we implemented one get method, and here one get method with an ID, right? And then a post method for the employee. So there are three methods we implemented. So for each and every operation, we can see that got created. And if you open and see that the set payload, what it was there, the example which we said, it will be there. If you go to the end, I think it will come, or you can see in configuration XML, it will be easy. Did not copy it properly, but anyhow. Okay, so once all the flows got generated, so you need to run this API, right? You created API, but you need to run this API. How to run the API? Just right click here. Okay, run as, run Mule application. You don't bother about this code and all, how to design a RAML and all. You just Google it. You will get one get method operation and you will get one post method operation. Just copy paste and try to generate it. If you are able to understand the code and I mean, the only 10 lines of code, only these method, the way of representation is you need to understand. If you are well and good in understanding in this, that's very good. So if you see that API console, it is opening automatically. So my API got created. Either I can see here and also I can go to the browser, I can open it from there also. What is my HTTP localhost? The path is API slash console. Okay, something I think so. You go there and see what is exactly the path. This is your API, right? So if you click here on the HTTP connector, inbound connector, so it is API only path. But what is the port? So it is 8081 only API. So just go and see the what is the error. Hmm. What is 8081 localhost API. Let me click on this console and see. So it is disabled, right? Use console. We'll click this use console. Okay, and click OK. Okay, let me stop this and run again. I can go here now and I can run it from here. So any doubt so far? Now you can ask because I completed end to end. That's what I just I did not ask you. Just want to show that how it looks designing and implementing API. So today we learned how to design an API and how to execute that API. Okay, using RAML, RESTful API modeling language. Scroll down. You mean the console flow? Let me do it. So when you design this, you can see that a list of API kit. These are for different kind of HTTP status code mapping. If any error happen, the flow control comes to here and it will show this. So whatever you said here, it will say that. So these all auto generated. Resource not found. So this is what we are seeing right now, right? If you see that message resource not found. So it got automatically handled this error. So there are different kind of status codes that will come. So this you don't need to bother about. It will come auto generated. Okay, only the flows which you implemented with the different methods. Post, get, under get you have two methods. Okay, one for getting all the employees, one for get all the employees based on ID. If you see that employee slash ID and the ID which is in curly braces. So this is the which parameter? It is the URI parameter. So we are passing URI parameter, the employee ID. Now let's try. Good. Now it is opening. So what is the issue? So you need to enable that console. Go to the console part and API kit. In the API kit console, you need to edit. Click on the edit. Use console. Just click on this checkbox. Then you can also browse the same endpoint in the browser. So this is my API and it looks like this. Okay. So now if I want to perform some post operation, I can click this post and this is the post operation. I can try it. You can see here, try it. Okay. And you can see any query parameters if you have implemented. So we haven't given any query parameters. That's what it's not showing here. any headers. There is no header here. And the body, so the format of body we mentioned in the RAML application slash JSON, so that is what here it is showing, and we gave some sample example, so that is what it is showing here, right? So now if you click post, you can see some response back. So we got the response back like this. Since we said something like this, we got the response back. Okay, and this is my endpoint. So when you are giving to the customers or and who are consumers, you need to give this one, endpoint URL, and the status code is 200. If you see this response status code, okay. And at the same time, under employees, you can perform the get method as well. So to do that, just click on the get method. Anyway, how we said the same thing, you are getting the same response back. And now this time it is the status code 200. So this is all coming from the RAML right now, right? Now so you can test based on employee ID. So if you see that ID star, so why it is coming ID as a required parameter? So now you go to your RAML file and start observing that. So under employees, under get, okay. So this is a resource and it makes it as any required parameter. This is the ID which you give and it comes here, okay. Now you just pass something like 101 and click enter. So now you can see that 200 status code with employee. It is not coming from the backend database. We gave something in our YAML only. Okay. Any doubt so far? Okay. In real time, how it will be? So in real time, you need to extend the flow. So once you generate the flow, you need to extend the flow, right? So in employees, where you need to get all the employees from database, right? So use the some database component, drag and drop it here. Okay. So and perform that select star from employees from the table, employee table. Select star from employee table. Then that will give the result back. Then the real sorry. So the same response will be, you can show it to the front end system. And if you want to consume that, if you want to read from the some Salesforce system, you can use some Salesforce system, Salesforce connector. Okay, you can use some Salesforce connector and drag it drop here and provide the configuration. And same, you can perform the same query, select the star from. And if it is based on the ID, while you are performing that query, select a star from employees where employee ID equal to the ID which you are receiving as a URI parameter. That you need to pass in the query. Okay. So that is very easy. You can just drag and drop and you can perform the queries here. Simply drag and drop here. And if you know the database where the employee data exists, you can just double click here. You can write the query. You can, I mean, I don't have any database right now, but tomorrow I will get some online database and I will show you complete implementation for this. Okay. You can use some select and how you write in SQL, select a star from employee. You can write the same query here. That's it. Okay. Okay.